Is the BJP drawing a new line for its spokespersons and for its members? Will action against Nupur and Naveen lead to an improvement in the quality of public dialogue? And why is the Maharashtra government summoning Nupur Sharma, given the fact that action has been taken against her by her party already? Joining me to talk about this one issue which is being debated and discussed inside political circles and outside, I want to welcome first a well-known advocate, Mahesh Jethmalani, closely associated with the BJP. Also with us is Priyanka Chaturvedi, Member of Parliament, spokesperson of the Shiv Sena. Zafar Sareshwala joins us. He is been with the Maulana Azad National Urdu University, has been closely associated with the rise of Prime Minister Modi and has seen him as Chief Minister and now as Prime Minister for several decades. Sudhindra Kulkarni joins us, well-known author, analyst. He was closely associated with the Vajpayee-Advani BJP and will give us some sense of how the dialogue has been becoming shrill. Ratan Sharda joins us. He is a writer, socio-political analyst and also someone who leans towards the RSS. I want to go across to Mahesh Jethmalani first, because you put out a tweet saying that Nupur Sharma isn't fringe, which she isn't, because she's a national spokesperson of the BJP. The BJP, the MEA tried to dismiss her as a fringe element. Do you think that a new line is being drawn, and do you think this action against Nupur Sharma, which has seen a huge pushback for the senior leaders in the BJP from within their own supporters, will lead to an improvement, or could it lead to a deterioration of the level of public dialogue? Mahesh.
Well, I think that what has been done has been salutary, because, a few months ago, I had appeared before the Supreme Court, and Justice Kaul had actually echoed something which is after my own heart, and he had said, I hope that the standard of debate, particularly in the media, improves, and it's not so that it isn't so polemical and to some extent hate-filled. And I think that drawing this suspension is in some sense a benchmark now, that while you can have lively debates, right, there has to be some sense of civility during the course of debates. The other side is not your enemy, right? You may have religious differences, but even when you debate those differences, you debate them with the utmost civility and politeness, and you certainly don't cross red lines where you hurt the sentiments of other people. I mean, if that's the message the party is sending out, I'm glad for it, and I think it should be encouraged, and I hope that all national spokespersons of all parties remain within the bounds of decency.
And when action has already been taken against Nupur Sharma, Priyanka Chaturvedi, why is the government in Maharashtra, through the police in Mumbra, sending summons to Nupur Sharma? She's already been acted against. What she said was inappropriate. She's expressed regret. Why then turn this into a police case? Isn't that victimization?
So, firstly, I'm quite in agreement with what Mr. Jethmalani said about red lines not being crossed. Unfortunately, the red lines have been crossed since 2014 onwards, and we've been seeing the kind of debates, the wild debates that have been happening on television channels, which I have also raised with the Information and Broadcasting Minister, that we need to start drawing a line somewhere. But considering this line has been drawn after the Gulf countries have come up in arms, and for the first time ever in India's diplomatic history, we've had to issue a clarification to as many countries on this particular issue, and calling the national spokesperson of a party which is in power as fringe elements and those working against the interests of the nation, is actually very unfortunate. That we came to draw a line only when 14 countries came up in arms. That's point one. Point two, I don't know since when did governments, maybe that's how the central agencies work, at the behest of the central government. But Maharashtra government does not actually control the Maharashtra police and tells them what to file an FIR and where to file an FIR and which cases to pursue. If any citizen has felt offended with a speech that was spoken, there are enough sections in the IPC to book them under. Are you trying to say that Maharashtra government is influencing the Mumbai police on what cases to file and what not to file?
Mr. Jetmalani, you buy that? Or do you think Nupur Sharma is being victimized unnecessarily through these summons?
I'm sorry.
Or can the government get away by saying...
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Allow me to complete.
Okay, go on.
I'm sorry. You must then ask the Home Minister to do away with those IPC sections which lead to harassment. I have been saying this multiple times over. If somebody is feeling offended, isn't it the right of a citizen to approach the police? And isn't it the job and responsibility of the police to note that particular complaint down? How did it become harassment?
What
So
does this have to do with the Maharashtra government? You've got somebody feeling harassed and they've gone and filed this complaint. It's Mohammad Gufran Khan, a teacher, who's the complainant against Nupur Sharma. Why blame the government of Mr. Thackeray? I'm asking Mr. Jetmalani to respond to that.
So all I'm trying to... Is that for me?
Yes, no, I'm getting Mr. Jetmalani to respond to that.
Sorry, Rahul, in the sort of intervention of Priyanka, I lost track of your question. What exactly is your question?
So do you think that the government is responsible for the summons against Nupur Sharma? Is she being harassed? Because Priyanka Chaturvedi says, what does the Maharashtra government have to do with it? You've got a gentleman by the name of Mohammad Gufran Khan. He's feeling offended. He's filed a complaint. She's been summoned. The Thackeray government in Maharashtra has nothing to do with it. Don't blame us. It's not as if we want her to be harassed.
Well, I don't want to get into the politics behind why Mr. Sanjay Pandey acts. I mean, but 153A has actually been more frequently used by state governments in opposition than the BJP. It is more frequently used by the state governments, both in West Bengal, I've noticed, and particularly in Maharashtra. They did it recently in the case of Navneet Rana and her husband. So there seems to be a pattern over there, but that's fine. I don't attribute motives to any police officer, though I'm a little surprised that there have been 5 FIRs filed in Maharashtra, or at least 3, if not 5. I'm not sure what the number is. It keeps increasing. But as I said, I won't attribute any motives to the Commissioner of Police or the concerned police station where this is happening. But there does seem to be a pattern where 153A is more frequently invoked in Maharashtra than in any other state. And while the opposition has been screaming for the abolition of 124, the sedition section, it still continues to be invoked by the Maharashtra government. Though recently I've seen that better sense has prevailed and they've dropped the case of the Ranas. But, let's keep the politics out of this. But there seems, more than the politics is, if you are really concerned about, rousing communal passions and creating communal disharmony, then on that television debate, Nupur Sharma was not the only person. Actually, she did it in retaliation to a rather offensive remark. I'm not justifying what she said. I think all national spokespersons, even under provocation, should be extremely balanced and careful in their response, right? But there were also some extremely offensive statements made by the members of the Muslim community on that debate on that channel.
Do you want to respond to the charge of there being a pattern, whether it's against the Ranes or against Nupur Sharma, the fact that Raza Academy has multiple charges against it, the fact that cases have been filed in several police stations, whether it is in Thane, whether it's in Faidoni, whether it's in Mumbra. So it's not one case. It suggests that there is a pattern to what we are seeing in Maharashtra.
Actually, I'm sorry, I beg to differ. Perhaps Mr. Jetmalani is not in tune with what is happening in Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Assam. If you remember, an elected MLA of Gujarat was taken overnight to Assam on some particular charges. And talking about the sedition charge, I'm sorry, we did not drop it. And again, I have continued to say, we would have proved it in the court. Either we would have lost that particular charge or we would have won the case. The only reason why this has been dropped is because the Supreme Court has put a stay on that particular section till the government of India does not take a call, till the law minister of this country does not take a call whether the sedition charge stays or it goes for good. So that is a debate for some other day. Now, about a pattern, I'm sorry, there's no such pattern. If you were to look at patterns would emerge across the nation on this particular sentiment where people feel offended, where their religion is attacked, working across. Now, just because we ensured law and order prevails and we do not see a situation like it happened and unfolded in Kanpur, just because Maharashtra keeps its law and order the topmost priority, and if somebody is coming with a grievance and Mumbai Police is recording that grievance, I would rather say that we are preempting any such riots-like situations to take place, rather than repenting at leisure with what Uttar Pradesh government is doing. So I'm sorry, I do not want to get into the politics of it, simply because the bigger challenge here is today India has had to apologize to various other nations because of the work of a few people in the Bharatiya Janata Party who are national office bearers in that country, and all the our IFS officers have had to do the explanation as to why this was being promoted, and no action was taken against this particular.
So let's broad-base this for a moment.
Mr.
Jethmalani, you want to respond to this charge of BJP spokespersons embarrassing India internationally, and then I'll go across to other guests as well. The fact that you've allowed political dialogue to coarsen to a point where there's a massive pushback from more than a dozen countries, and this is embarrassing for India internationally.
Well, I think it has had a fallout. Nobody can deny that. I mean, you've seen the reaction. For anybody to say that what happened the other day, the statement that was made by Nupur Sharma didn't have an adverse fallout, would be shutting a blind eye to the obvious. But having said that, I don't think that the Indian government has apologized, because the Indian government was quite clear that it has not. It doesn't subscribe to the views of Nupur Sharma, and which is why, although Nupur Sharma is not a fringe politician, her views, I believe, are of the fringe, even within the BJP, and even under what is called, even within what is called the Hindu right.
Okay.
So I don't accept the view that India has apologized at all. India has had no cause to apologize.
Seen over the past,
a party spokesperson crossed the line, and that's where it rests.
But what we've seen over the past 48 hours, and I want...
Sorry, go on.
No, but what we've seen over the past 48 hours, and I want Ratan Sharda to comment on this, is a massive pushback against the top leadership, whether it's on internal WhatsApp groups of the BJP, whether it is in conversation between party karyakartas. They're not happy with the fact that Nupur Sharma and Naveen Kumar have been acted against. They would have liked the senior leaders to stand up. Why is it that you think, Ratan Sharda, that the BJP erred in taking action against Nupur Sharma? Why do you think the top leadership should have actually stood up and defended her, given especially the fact that there was the kind of international condemnation that we've been seeing?
Rahul, I would not like to speak on behalf of BJP. It's their policy matter.
Sure.
So I can say I was present in that particular debate. In that debate, what Nupur said was exactly what various theologians, various religious scholars have said. She did not add a single sentence to that. She did not make any mocking comment. But if you look at the background, for days together, Hindus were mocked, ridiculed, insulted. Worst kind of graphics were shown on the social media. No action was taken. And when she speaks, suddenly in the morning, somebody makes a dog whistle and thousands of people pour upon her. So I would expect the party to stand by her at that time. If it thought that there is something wrong, it should not have waited for 10 days to take an action on either side. It cannot be one-sided. So we must think about this, keep on talking on Nupur Sharma. Remember that for days together, this is what happened in the case of Gyanvapi. I have been around for a long time. This is what used to happen in Ram Mandir also. People used to mock us, ridicule us during TV debates. कि मंदिर वहीं बनाएंगे, समय नहीं बताएंगे, though it was in the hands of the courts. So we must realize that the religious debates, if you take, TV channels should stop taking religious debates first of all. If they do take, then there should be condition that the right to offend, right to quote correctly is available to everybody. It cannot be one-sided. If 295A is invoked, it can be invoked for every community, not for one community. Right to offend, does it mean that somebody had something, Hindus have gone to courts? Should it mean that if anybody says something, what did they say? Nabi ke beadbi ki saza santar se juda. So are we running a Sharia state or are we running a constitutional state? The people who claim that they are constitutional, they follow constitution, they then go ahead and quote Sharia to kill somebody, to throw stones, to run riot. Is this the way? Are we justifying riots? Are we justifying death threats by claiming that somebody is offended?
Atikur
Why nobody
Rahman,
else was
respond to
collective
this grouse that
and
the likes
creates
of
a top of
Ratan
the
Sharda
society?
and many others have, saying that when Hindu gods and goddesses are made fun of, everybody hopes that the community should be irreverential, should be able to laugh it off, take it in its stride. But the moment something is said about Prophet Muhammad, then it leads to the kind of international backlash that we've seen over the past 72 hours.
Well, Rahul, without being any offense to my other friends, if the Hindu side never objected to any of the offending remarks by the Muslim side on the Ayodhya matter, is the Muslims to be blamed for that? Why you didn't go and file
They
an
did not
FIR,
throw
sir?
stones.
No, why you didn't go and file an FIR? Did anybody stop you, threaten you not to file an FIR? And here an FIR has been filed, which is completely within the purview of law. Nobody is violating any law. Now let the law take its own course. If some international community is jumping in and then things go out of the control of any of the governments or any of the establishments, are the people and the community and the religion is to be blamed, Rahul? And Rahul, are you not witness day in and day out? We are, debating on such topics since years together. Now today Mr. Ratan Sharda says that TV debate should not be there on religion. Of course, yes, I agree. And both sides should be given an equal chance to respond. And this was the equal chance thing came on when I was on a television channel, on a national television channel, Doordarshan, with Nupur Sharma. We both had a very good interaction. She agreed to my points, I agreed to her points. This is the way debate should run. What if somebody is gaining and having their own say, drawing mileage out of it, be it the political party or the news channels, is the religion and the people and the community to
No,
be
but
blamed for that, sir?
it's very interesting, whether it is from the Shiv Sena, Atikur Rahman, Ratan Sharda, we're hearing Sudhindra Kulkarni calls for maturity. In India Today has always, on the Newstrack, elsewhere, tried to push for as much sanity in public discourses as possible. We never let people speak over each other. We don't get, voices which are completely fringe and unhinged. We try and ensure, you hear polarized opinion, but you try and ensure that everybody gets a fair say and that they get to say their mind without turning into a cockfight. Now, do you think that new line is being drawn with what we saw from Sarsang Chalak Mohan Bhagwat ji, with the action that's been taken by JP Nadda and the BJP top leadership? Is an attempt being made to try and ensure that public dialogue is not coarse?
Rahulji, if the BJP genuinely, sincerely draws a line, asking not only its spokespersons but also leaders and people in the ecosystem that supports the BJP to shun hate politics and hate comments, violent comments, it's good for India, it's good for the BJP also. But let's see this not just in the context of what Nupur Sharma said, but what has been happening in the last 8 years of Modi rule. The Prime Minister just some 10-12 days ago said that the government has done nothing that has made India hang its head in shame. Well, India came very close to hanging its head in shame. The government has not apologized, but the government had to issue clarifications, and under pressure from almost the entire Muslim world, it has had to take action against not a fringe element, but a spokesperson of the BJP, a national spokesperson. But what Nupur Sharma said is not really an exception. She is not the only person, nor are such things said for the first time.
No, but a message has gone out. In the action that's been taken, surely even you'd concede that next time somebody wants to say something radical because they think if they do that, unke liye taali bajegi, now they know that there could be action against them.
True, but you see, we have to debate why the Prime Minister, the Home Minister did not condemn this and such utterances that were coming out from the BJP and the BJP ecosystem for many years now. The Prime Minister has not commented even once.
Ratan Sharda, do you want to comment on that?
Just a moment,
okay,
before you go
yes,
to
yes,
others,
go on, Sudhindra ji.
You must let me complete my point.
Go on, sir.
There were people in the so-called Dharm Sansad, it's actually Adharm Sansad, who gave calls for genocide.
Correct.
Who gave calls for rape of Muslims. Did the Prime Minister or the Home Minister say anything? BJP people attended such meetings. There were calls for economic boycott of Muslims. Did the BJP leadership say anything? Did they draw a line? It's only because of international backlash, especially coming from the Gulf countries, that they have done something. So we have to really question the honesty.
You're questioning the honesty of their move?
If BJP really does draw a line and implements it, it's good for BJP and it's good for the country.
You are questioning the silence of the senior leadership, Ratan Sharda, not speaking out when that Adharm Sansad happened in Haridwar and elsewhere, allowing this to fester, to reach a point where it leads to an international blowback. This should have been nipped in the bud, and the failure to do so suggests that the BJP leadership looked away when this whole momentum was building and such comments were being made.
Rahul, it's very funny that 100 people out of 100 million Hindus collect together, make some funny or some outrageous comments, are expecting PM to act on that or speak on that. Police action was taken. Has any government taken police action on the vile debates, vile kind of accusation being thrown at Hindus and insulting of Hindus by these Islamist fundamentalists? No. And the people who say that after Modi came to power, these things are happening. Do you forget the entire CA agitation was based on fictitious ground that it hurts the Muslims, Indian Muslims? There was nothing about it. Entire hijab issue was only regarding one school in Karnataka, and it became a national issue saying no hijabing is allowed. The farmer agitation was converted to a hate campaign. Everything that Modi does becomes a hate campaign for opposition, and then you blame the BJP. A problem, the issue was that BJP owned up what was the mistake they believe was, and I again repeat, Nupur did not say different from what their Islamic scholars spoke. So let us not blame her. Blame the kind of heated discussions that happen. So if you think that religion should not be discussed, as I said again, it has to be discussed that way, same way. So this hate has been started by opposition on every issue, right from demoralization to church attacks to nun-rape to CAA to farmer bill to hijab. Everywhere you find people trying to create ruckus where the law doesn't even affect anybody. CA is the prime example. And if you say so, it is done by BJP Act. I'm sorry. I think you are putting BJP in a spot where it doesn't belong to. Why opposition members are never pulled up? Why they never passed a guideline? What kind of debate should happen? Why they come and mock everybody? Why they laugh and smirk at people who are trying to defend the religion?
You're blaming a general coarsening of dialogue, which includes actions of members of the opposition, and something which can't be blamed only on the BJP. Sudhindra Kulkarni, do you buy that?
No, I don't buy that at all. The fact of the matter is that it's not some fringe elements that were saying it. BJP functionaries were participating in these meetings. And time and again, the patriotism of Muslim community was being questioned. On television debates, in public meetings, they were being called gaddars. And one union minister, even from a public rally, said, Desh ke gaddaron ko goli maro salon ko. Nothing happened to him. Where is accountability? As I said, it's only because of international backlash coming from rich Gulf countries that the government has had to do something. Nevertheless, I would say, if your question, if the BJP does draw a line and sticks to it, it's good for the country, good for the BJP. One more point. Whether there is fanaticism from the Muslim side or the Hindu side, from any side, we must condemn equally.
When someone like an Anurag Thakur makes an objectionable comment, he gets promoted. Tejinder Bagga gets a leg up. Kapil Mishra gets adulation and promotion. Ratan Sharda. Therefore, Sudhindra Kulkarni making the argument that they've actually seen others benefit by spewing hate or anger or venom, and therefore before this there was nothing which was telling them don't go there, because it seemed like a road which led to prosperity and growth.
One, Now the cases are in the courts about Delhi riots. Who are being accused? Is Kapil Mishra named? Is Tejinder Bagga named? Those who are named belong to certain political parties who had weapons, who had stored weapons, stones, acid, everything. It is very clear it was pre-planned. Now to put the blame on BJP or their leaders is trying to just, play funny with the entire facts of matter. So let us not get into these kind of shallow argument where you know that truth lies somewhere else because police case has been there, people not being given bail, which means courts also agree that the instigators or riots are somewhat different. Having known that, you again keep on blaming BJP leaders. You say others should be blamed, but ever any liberal did anybody criticize people who are mocking Hindus, who were ridiculing Hindu faith? Nobody has challenged, not a single so-called secular liberal, including Mr. Sudhindra Kulkarni, has spoken as them.
Will we also see Atikur Rahman? Because
People who are there, people who say desh ke tukde honge, inshallah, they are gaddar. Are they not gaddar?
नहीं, but गोली तो नहीं मारनी है ना सर?
This freedom of speech?
ना, but you can't say गोली मारो सालों को, no, that's not right.
No, but whom? To the people who want to break the country, not the people who are out on the streets for CA. Again I say, was CA valid agitation? It was not. Did any secular have the guts to go out on the TV and say, dear friends, CA has nothing to do with Indian Muslims, please do not agitate? They supported them. So this kind of hollow argument, this kind of shallow kind of support to people who are trying to disrupt peace is what ails liberals.
Atikur Rahman, in the advisory the BJP put out today to its spokespersons, telling them to calm the rhetoric, focus on Vikas, development, not go away and be shrill, because members of the opposition and some of these Maulanas have also been responsible for making very shrill comments. Will we see that calm down as well in the way in which the BJP send this message? Will the other side also try and just pipe down and be more sensible?
Well, I think, Rahul, principally it should be. But what about the fringes then? Anybody who comes out with lavish arguments and sweeping comments is described as a fringe, not a party element. What about that? Besides this, don't you find this to be a vicious circle? Many things what Mr. Ratan Shada is saying, I agree with him, that when you create a vicious circle, sir, the circle is creating of the narratives, creating of the binaries, blaming each other. Is this good on your part? Goli Maro does not, fits you well, saying that no, he has a constitutional right to say that Goli Maro to those people who are on sedition side. So is this the constitutional in a way of law? Besides, Mr. Ratan Sharda, if every day in, day out you call a community people that they are the jihadis, their religion and their madrasas are teaching them jihad in the Quran, in the book, is this right? Is this not a narrative? Is this not a binary? Is this not what you seem to say that, okay, the things have been done, now mileage will be drawn out of this and somebody, some elements will be creating a consolidation of their lot, be them anybody. So that's a binary, that's a narrative, that's a vicious circle, sir.
Okay, I'm out of time. Ratan Sharda, very quickly, final comments before I wrap up.
See, today's debate was not about what madrasa are teaching. I did not comment on that. He's trying to force that dialogue on me. Is he saying that Himanta Biswa Sarma and Yogi Adityanath doing something which is unconstitutional? Are we saying that madrasa should not be modernized? Are we saying madrasa should not teach people the modern science and modern technology? That is the point. That's all.
We'll debate madrasas another time. The hope really was in this conversation that will a new line be drawn on all sides of the political divide, where there is less shrillness, more sense, less noise, more news. That, I think, is critical. That's something that we endeavor for. It will be good if political parties also try and just calm things down, because this whole Hindu-Muslim, Pandit versus Maulana rhetoric does the nation no good. There are real challenges. Those are the challenges India should be focusing on. This is where I wrap up the Newstrack debate.